Welcome back to the Hephaestus Challenge, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dan, joined by Fourth Oracle. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us here on robanddan.tv/live. In the time span that we have been on break and have since come back, HRA versus Sacrilege already finished. They're already done. Sac got 5-0'd in a very swift and convincing manner. HRA had no trouble with them.
Yeah.
Now, one confusion we had was why Tropo wasn't flying for Sacrilege for his own clan that time around. It turns out he can't because he's flying for Muse today. Which, this is a big head scratcher for us because Sac lost pretty swiftly to HRA.
That was convincing.
Yeah, if Tropo had been there, that might be different. That might have been very different. So, a little confusion. Not sure exactly why Tropo wouldn't fly for the clan he leads, but it's his choice, of course. And they had the pilots available to fly against HRA. I don't think it was the best choice for his own clan.
And
maybe there's something going on that we don't know about. Like maybe they had an agreement or something, or they wanted to help out, or Tropo wanted to help out, or maybe those two pilots for Sacrilege really wanted a pilot today. Maybe there's stuff going on we don't know about. So I'm going to leave that open to interpretation. No, I'm not gonna pass judgment here on Sac because of what's going on. They did get 5-0'd, so they go 2-1-4 in the regular season. They actually end up having the same score as BFS for the regular season, 2-1-4.
2-1. Oh, right, tie.
Yep, they both tied each other last week, 0-0.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's I mean, this has kind of been a long time coming. So it's not like, oh, how'd that happen? Suddenly they lost 5 games. Like, no, this it's not possible for that to happen in a group stage. Just what's going on? Like, I really gotta ask. It's like Sacrilege starts doing really poorly, and then suddenly one of the captains, like the leader of Sacrilege, ends up like not in the other match and crewing for the Musosaurs. What's going on? I want to know what is going on.
Well, certainly we'll have an opportunity to ask Tropo after we get done with today's events. That's not out of the question. Certainly, we do like to talk to all the different crews and clans that participate. It's fun to get everyone's thoughts and opinions on what's going on. Looking towards this match here again, we are going to be hopping into it here uno momento in just a few minutes here as I look over to my documents. This will be the last game on today's stream for our side of things. After that, it'll be Art of Warfare versus Mad Hatters over on Battle on the Dunes on Imagine 42's stream. Again, you can see that and more over at robanddan.tv/live. In addition, we're going to have the post-game or post-day show for you over on this stream as soon as we are done with all the games on both streams. We'll be talking about everything that's happened today, including the cake loss, including Merriman's win, convincing win, in fact, over Sky Invading Rhinos 5-0, as well as all the other games that we have seen, and what's going to happen going into the silver brackets. With that being said, Oracle, we have a vast majority of the crews in-game already with us. We have the Boopicorn and the Golden the Ship Was. That name doesn't make any sense to me. Golden the Ship Was for the Overwatch folks, and the Cast Iron Cruiser, Queso's Mobula, and the Resplendent Kivias's Goldfish in here and available to us. This is on Candied Ambush. Oracle, between what we see so far from these teams, how do you feel it's going to go?
I personally, my money is on Overwatch. I mean, they haven't been performing amazing over the past couple of weeks, but they still have experience up enough, I think, on the Musasaurs, especially since Muse is so like sort of ragtag. Though it looks like aboard the cast iron cruiser, Queso's got himself a clan.
They have Grim, a
They have
new
the Great
clan.
Reapers, yeah.
Golden Glade actually just left Sacrilege for a co-lead position with Grim.
Yeah.
So interesting fact there. He's a co-leader there now, actually. It's going to be interesting because of how well-formed the crew on the cast iron cruise already is. These are people in the same clan who know how each other functions. And Golden Glade is a veteran of the community. So certainly a lot of experience on that end. And then, of course, on the Resplendent side of things, Hephaestus, a developer, along with Evo Doc, and then with Tropo and Zemco, that's a lot of experience to pull from. Again, as it usually is with the Muse team, it's a question not of how much skill they have available to it. It's whether or not that skill can come together in a cooperative manner to really be a singular element instead of individuals on a ship.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I think it's less important on a Mobula since you do have everyone sort of partitioned off from one another. And on top of that, you're not worried about that gunner hopping off as much and going to repair something because he's a gunner. He's not an engineer. So that's that sort of I'd say zone. Like zoning is probably a better word for it. It zones the ship off a little bit more. He's going to be on the top deck pretty much the whole time.
Resplendent also, instead of taking something a little closer range for Canyon Ambush, sticking with the Lumberjack. I like this move personally. I just hope it doesn't come back to bite Hephaestus a little bit with the fact that the Lumberjack really doesn't function well in ambush situations. Oracle, your thoughts on that?
I think it's fine. I mean, the Lumberjack, if Zemco brings Lochnagar, and he is, okay. So a lot of people they get the idea of these sniping guns being absolutely useless in close range combat. But if you take Lochnagar, you absolutely can make it a close range gun. Like if you know how to use Lochnagar, you know how to line up the shot while you're loading the ammo in. You absolutely can do it. For those of you who aren't aware, maybe in the audience, Lochnagar almost completely removes arming time. There's still a little bit there. So if like you're rubbing your face into the enemy balloon, it's not going to go off. But if there's just a little bit of distance between yourself and the enemy,
as one might say,
not much. I mean, it's not much. And you load Lochnagar in, it's going to remove the arming time, and you're going to get that burst damage. Plus, I believe you're doing 250% damage. So you're more than doubling your damage on that gun. So Lumberjack can do well in Canyon Ambush. It also, I think, is going to do well because there are sniping arenas within Canyon Ambush, as well as the brawling. So the Lumberjack, I think, is a nice neutral pick. I feel like the Lumberfish is always kind of a neutral pick. It's good in pretty much any situation. It's good against pretty much any ship. And there's no time that it's bad as long as you have a kill ship you're going with.
And the cast iron cruiser certainly has the kill potential. It has a gap mortar on it. It has a Hades on it if it needs, for the gunner specifically. It has a Banshee to work with as well. It has a lot of tools available to it, and it certainly has a lot of kill potential available.
Yeah, now what we're seeing on the cast iron cruiser is interesting. There's been a shift in the way that mobulas are piloted, where one side gets favored. So you sort of have 4 guns facing one side, and that's just kind of how you do things. But so it's easier to get those arcs if you push it over on that side. But in this case, because they are going for the Hades on top and they want to put a gunner up there, they're having the gap mortar facing forward. It makes it a little bit more difficult to get that arc and the distance that you want, but it's still very powerful. And they do have the Banshee there. So a little bit of meta talk about the Mobula.
Yeah, certainly the Mobula has started to come back into favor, or at least come into favor in the first place. I'm not sure if it ever was in favor, to be honest, but we see more and more Mobulas being flown in competitive play and being flown successfully. If you remember back to Clamor versus the Sky Invading Rhinos, or rather against Riders, I'm sorry. That was a double Mobula Clamor was flying against, and they got 5-0'd pretty severely.
Yeah, that was for extenuating circumstances, though.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
I'm not going to blame that on the Mobula. I mean, if you're in that sort of position, doesn't matter what ship you're piloting.
Well, no, the Mobula was extremely successful in that match. Again, Riders took double Mobula.
Oh, sorry, I got it backwards.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought you were saying they lost. Like, no, okay,
No,
yeah. Double Mobula is totally, like, I don't know, double Mobula is kind of weird. And I feel like people are going to start, if a team starts doing it regularly, it's going to get countered. But no, Mobula can absolutely be strong. I'm sorry I misheard you on that. That was really bad. Good morning. Good morning.
On the far side of things, we have a Pyramidion Mobula. Vom's Mobula, it's a very strange mix. And I'm not sure I'm a fan.
Let me see. No, it's fine.
Double Artemis at the 2 and the 4 slot, with a Gatling at the 1 and a Mercury at the 3. What's the Gatling doing there? What's the Gatling? Why? What's the point?
The Gatling is kind of a weird thing. I'd say that's okay, kind of. I think the idea is you get the Gatling going, and then you have the 2 Artemi that are disabling and then doing hull damage. I think that's what they're going to do. I mean, we've seen that the Artemis can be effective in close range. Not only is there there's no arming time, and it's also perfectly accurate every time. So it's okay close range. I mean, you can just snipe down or just shoot down specific guns with the Artemis. And then you look over on the port side, port wing. There's a beacon over on the side. So you have the person in the 2 slot always on that lower deck. He's not going to be going to the upper deck at all. He's just going to be hanging out down there. So we'll have the hull readily available. He's just always going to be on that Artemis. So sure, you get the Gatling going, get the Artemis going with this good arc, and it's going to be able to do hull damage.
Looking over at the Bupacorn, we've actually discussed this build 1 or 2 times. It's the Pyramidion with Carronade and Gat on the front of it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this. I don't think you are either, Oracle, if I'm correct.
I don't like it. I think it's weak.
There's a lot going on there, and the Carronade can be really good at balloon disables. It's consistent at close range. The hull break on the Gatling cannon is consistent as well. You get through the armor fast with it, but being able to put both those pieces together in a competitive environment is so incredibly hard, and it's just usually it does not function in that way. Not well at all.
We are getting underway, though. This match is going to start. This is, again, going to be Overwatch versus Musosaurs, the final game for the Hammer Division. It's going to be on Canyon Ambush. Interesting map. You got lots of open space to the north and the south, but you do have canyons that limit visibility and mobility around the center of the map, along with clouds that tend to roll through. Not nearly as many static clouds. Lots of moving clouds, so lots of potential for ambushing your enemy.
First ship for the Overwatch side of things, it is a Pyramidion. It is the Bupacorn, piloted by Yggdrasil. Carronade Gat front with a Banshee and a Flare on the side. We also have the Golden. The ship was, I will call it the Golden, piloted by Vomact. It is a golden Mobula. That's a bright yellow.
Looks great. I like it.
On the bottom decks, we have Artemis Gat. On the main deck, we have an Artemis and a Flare. And the top deck, we have a Mercury. Go ahead, Oracle.
Spots already going down for the Musosaurs. We have the Cast Iron Cruiser, a Mobula being piloted by Queso. Hades up top, Gat Mortar on the lower deck, and on the port side wing, we have an Artemis. Starboard side wing, we have a Banshee. And aboard the Resplendent, a goldfish being piloted by Hephaestus. We have a lumberjack on the front, flamethrower on the port side, and flare gun on the starboard, just to make sure they have the ability to spot through clouds.
Resplendent already starting to take some fire, just a little bit coming from the golden mobula there. Cast iron cruiser is not in a position to return fire. It's just the Resplendent right now, trying to get some lumberjack shots down. Zemko, a well-known gunner, his accuracy is usually pretty top-notch. I say usually and pretty because at times, because of communication issues, we've seen it falter. So a big question going into this match is going to be whether or not Resplendent can keep itself organized and in tune between Hephaestus and Zemko, if they can really work together on that high level to make those shots count.
I think that this is going to be especially important because you can think about it like this. So close range combat, there doesn't need to be a whole lot of communication between the gunner and the pilot, other than like, hey, this guy's coming into arc or something like that. Or, we're picking this target, be aware. And then long range, the captain might say, shoot that guy, and then he holds the ship still. Medium range, you have a lot of movement. You're turning a lot. You're sort of vying for just the right position. You're trying to get into just the right hard cover.
I like the term jockeying.
Yeah, you're like, that's pretty accurate. You're jockeying for a good position. And that's when communication becomes really important. And you see the cast iron cruiser, that's a medium range build. That's a medium to short range build. And so that the ideal position for the Resplendent is going to be at medium range for this combination. It's going to be tested.
We just had a little bit of flare mishap for the Muse side of things. They tried to get a flare deep into the clouds. They were just successful with it, but they ended up lighting themselves up. Great shots though on the Golden. The ship was getting their balloon taken out and taking a little bit of armor damage. Not a big deal though. They're going to be able to get things back together and back in the air here very shortly.
Well, to kind of reiterate, the only time that any action is really going to happen for the Musosaurs is when they get into medium range. This lumberjack is just harassment and pinning them down. Like they're not going to be making anything big happen with this. Right now, I think the Musosaurs are just trying to keep they're trying to keep Overwatch down and try and move into a medium range position where they can be most effective.
Absolutely. Overwatch on their side of things, playing things very cautiously. They don't want to risk their Mobula going down and grounding out to that lumberjack, which is a very dangerous situation, especially for a Mobula. It's easy. It's incredibly easy, especially when you load burst ammo into a lumberjack to hit the balloon of a Mobula. And because you get just a little more ammo out of it too, at least in the lumberjack, you get a very solid hit from it. It's so easy to ground out a Mobula with a lumberjack. It's incredibly easy. So they're going to have to play it carefully, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to figure out exactly what the best positioning for this is going to be, taking a little bit of time to meander about their spawn area, or just the area in front of their spawn, to figure out how they want to approach this scenario.
Now, flare comes out. The Musosaurs are getting spotted. So right now, Overwatch is pretty comfortable. They have plenty of room behind them. If things get really bad, they can back up into the wide open area of the northern canyons. So and then they have a sniping Mobula. The Golden has a Mercury and a pair of Artemises. Grammatically, is technically Artemises. So they do have Artemises, so they can just back up and play defense. Right now, you see they're getting shots on the Resplendent because it's shown its profile. It bumps, though. Oh, Hephaestus. We're seeing the legendary bumps of Hephaestus come out here.
Is that kind of like Lobbies of Icarus?
It's not quite as infamous. It's not quite as infamous, but I don't know if you remember back when the Musosaurs were playing on Peregrine Rumble.
Yes.
They lost the map because Hephaestus bumped buildings 3 times or 4 times.
DPA got that win. DPA got that win 1-0 instead of it going to a tie because Hephaestus repeatedly bumped buildings.
Here's the engagement though. Poopacore moving out of the cast iron. Artemi going to be the ones to do the damage. Bubicorn coming in for the ram. The Resplendent too close.
Whoa!
Cast Iron is going to go down. Big ram from the Bubicorn, and now it has chosen its next target. Resplendent going to be focused down. Even if the Cast Iron spawns in, it's not going to be able to get in here. And now the Resplendent backing up. There we go. Kavai's being a little bit more careful this time. Trying to move around this rock spire for cover and buy time.
No.
Bubicorn has no armor, or hull shred, I should say. And so there's going to be a little bit of time, but the Golden is coming in with its long-range guns. Try and finish this out. Resplendent drops down. But the Carronade is not going to allow them to rise back up, I don't think.
This is a very bad situation for Kuvais. He has to just gun it forward. He's putting moonshine into the engines. That's exactly what we needed to see from him. He is getting out of here as fast as possible. Bubicorn does not have an opportunity to take out those engines at all. Engines are fully buffed on that goldfish. They are gone.
I am really surprised that Queso allowed himself to be rammed like that. I feel like that's not something that should have happened. I mean, he's a Mobula. Certainly there was a Carronade going down on him, but he should have seen that Pyramidion coming in and done
Cast Iron Cruiser is actually trying to go. Are they trying to go above the ridge here?
They can do it. Like, that's not going to be the problem. The problem is what's going to be waiting right on the other side. Bubicorn going to get the spot down. Cast Iron Cruiser throwing out a couple of shots. Hades going to pin him back down. Bubicorn's not in any real danger. Right now, the Musosaurs are just kind of playing gent style and taking what shots they can.
Yeah, good first kill, though. They definitely did a good job of making sure that first engagement was in their favor. Absolutely in their favor. And if you're going to try to push engagement, certainly you want to do everything everything possible to make sure it's in your advantage. So they definitely use the terrain to confuse. I can't say confuse, but certainly force a move out of Muse. And then as soon as the Mobula was exposed, that Pyramidion just charged straight up the gut and took him out with that Carronade plus the Gat, and then rammed him to death.
Yeah, I feel like Muse has definitely felt pressured then, and they feel much more pressured now. The Carronade is really good at limiting that vertical mobility on the Mobula, especially if they have heavy clip on it. I think they do. Yeah, they do. Sir Yosh bringing heavy clip. However, the Bubicorn eating a lot of fire. This is the range that the Cast Iron Cruiser wants to be at. The Bubicorn is letting him have it, but I doubt he's going to stay up there long. Nah, he's dropping down. Resplendent does not have arc. He cannot damage that balloon. Instead, he's just going to have to hit the Golden.
Resplendent does have a decent avenue of arc here. Unfortunately, they don't have spots to work with. They can do some shot tracking, but it's just not going to be the same.
No, not at all. Cast Iron Cruiser right now in a decent position. They have the Hades and they have the high ground. Kind of literally.
Resplendent is starting to get hammered pretty seriously. Bubicorn moving in with the Gat Carronade. Resplendent doing everything in their power to get out of the situation. Moonshine being loaded into those engines. Resplendent trying to get away. Armor keeps going down. There they go.
Bubicorn doing some serious work here. I feel like the Resplendent was not where it needed to be. The Cast Iron Cruiser could not help at all. The Bubicorn, though, going to eat quite a bit of Hades fire. Mortar coming out. Not going to do a whole lot. And the Cast Iron Cruiser wants to go for a ram. I think this is a mistake. There go the bumpers, but it's not going to matter a whole lot. They get sandwiched into the canyon. 3-0 in favor of Overwatch.
That was a very good reposition on the part of Bubicorn, calling the Golden in there too. They did a great pincer move on that other Mobula. It just almost textbook where how they surrounded and killed off that Mobula in just a matter of moments.
Yeah, definitely. Now it looks like Overwatch wants to move into the blue spawn and finish this game out. Gat going down on the Bubicorn. But the Resplendent already not looking so great. Cast Iron Cruiser's armor is down. Bubicorn, again, has no mortar, but it's going for the ram. Instead of using the vertical mobility, the Cast Iron Cruiser is just backing up. I mean, even with a damaged balloon, you got to do something with like that balloon. Like, you got to do something with the vertical mobility.
Queso's trying to tank way too much firepower here. You cannot tank this much damage in a Mobula. It's so dangerous to do. That armor is going to go down again. He doesn't have anywhere else to back up. He bumps against the scaffolding here around these pipes. Cast Iron Cruiser is in a deep situation, but it looks like the Overwatch team has focused just a little bit more on the Resplendent. Oh, no, never mind. They are going for the Cast Iron.
Bubicorn it's going for the Ram. The armor goes down right before the Ram comes out. And there's no hull left. The Resplendent getting locked down by the Golden. Right now, I think that Overwatch realizes, you know what? We'll just let the Bubicorn shred this Mobula. But now they're coming in. Lumberjack comes out, does some serious damage to the balloon. There it goes. It is going to go down, but that's not going to stop the Bubicorn moving forward and closing distance on the Resplendent. The Resplendent is very quickly running out of room to back up.
This is going to be a tough situation for Hephaestus to deal with here. He does have room if he swings things to the left, but I don't believe he's going to do that. He's going to try and do a swing underneath the Bubicorn. He did load Moonshine in the engines just a little bit. He has drawn the Bubicorn down. No, he's going above.
Ooh, nice move from Hephaestus. Going to buy him a little bit of time, but the Golden the ship is right there. Artemis going to come out. Nope, not quite.
Oh,
hello.
Wow.
What? Okay.
Armor went down on that Mobula right before the Resplendent smacked into it. Resplendent was going at Moonshine grade speeds. Cast Iron Cruiser, though, getting right up in Bubicorn's face. They lose armor. Bubicorn needs to finish off one of these ships before they start losing mass amounts of armor. Lumberjack is well in arc and in range. Shots are going right into the engine column. Although some of them are missing there. There we go. Don't want to have that happen.
I think Overwatch got a little bit too aggressive here, fighting in the spawn of the enemy.
I didn't think they expected the armor. I don't think they expected the armor on their Mobula to go down like that too, right before the Resplendent rams right into it.
Yeah, definitely. That was a grievous error. You saw the Cast Iron Cruiser was right there. He was firing shots, and it brought the armor down just in time. That was either very well planned or extremely lucky.
I'm gonna chalk it up to 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Bubicorn, realizing the risks of fighting against a lumberfish in this situation, it has the mobility to keep you ground out no matter where you are. Cast Iron Cruiser coming in to help finish. It's now 4-2, still in favor of Overwatch.
Was Golden the ship was spotted?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's going to take up position and wait for its ally. Now, that was a bit too aggressive of Overwatch. I don't think they needed to do that. Like, they have the sniping ship. That they are the ones with the stronger long range.
Yep.
Even with the Lumberjack on that Goldfish, the Bubicorn can just run defense, and the Golden is perfectly capable of getting kills at long range.
Double Artemis Merc will easily beat out a single Lumberjack. Even though it's on a Mobula, even though they're on a Mobula, the Lumberjack simply does not have the damage to counter the disable potential that Golden the ship has.
Okay, Bubicorn coming in. Cast Iron Cruiser and Resplendent right now setting themselves up outside of the canyon. They're expecting another charge from Overwatch. Overwatch really wants to finish this game out.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense, too. They have the advantage right now. As it stands, they have completely fresh hulls. They have everything good to go. No problems whatsoever. Resplendent sitting on half hull. And you can't repair it. There is no way in game to bring it up. So they're going to have to play a little more conservatively and try to use the Cast Iron Cruiser to their advantage. But that's automatically putting the slightly squishier ship out in front of the Goldfish.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Golden the ship was moving forward. It's trying to get the sniping down. It looks like it's focusing the Resplendent. It just wants to keep that Lumberjack down so it can keep arcs. Cast Iron Cruiser doing a good job with those Hades. The Bubicorn is moving in forward just a little bit, threatening to come in. The Hades start coming in. Armor going to get damaged, and it's going to back up.
I think honestly, Overwatch has realized they can't just straight up charge the Muse team when they're sitting like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not I don't think they should feel pressured to. They could
Mhm.
just let the timer run out. We're halfway done, 15 minutes remaining, less even. So they could just pin Muse down. Muse feels threatened. I think maybe they have a little bit more confidence after that last fight. But certainly, like you see, like look at these shots coming out. They're shooting the canyon. Like they're just trying to suppress Overwatch. They're afraid. They are very afraid.
Yeah, they don't want Overwatch to charge them, although that might be the best situation they could have. An ambush probably is not in the cards for Muse. They have a lumberjack, a lumberfish does not work in an ambush situation. Usually, more brawl-oriented ships are the best to take into that kind of thing, especially in canyons where things are usually up close and very messy in that central region of the map. They have to use suppression. Muse team has to use suppression to keep the Overwatch team ground out and controlled at medium range. They can't get in close.
It's definitely hurting them. The fact that they don't have a pair of ships that can really make things happen. Like for the like you're absolutely right. They're more of a suppression pair of ships. But that's not what they need right now.
Mhm.
Right now, they need kills. It's 4-2. We're looking at maybe 11 minutes left. They really have to make something happen in the next few minutes if they want a chance at actually, winning this game. And Overwatch, I mean, look at this. Overwatch says, you know what? Come on into the canyons. Like,
Come into our territory.
Yeah, like right now, Overwatch has no pressure. Like they can just pull in Muse into this canyon, and Muse has to.
Mm-hmm. Muse is the one that has to get these at least 2 kills to tie it up. If they don't, it goes Overwatch's way, and I'm sure Overwatch is happy to go into the postseason with win number 2 instead of loss number 6.
Yeah, the number of kills is not a very big deal. I mean, it's really just the wins.
Yep.
Like that's what you really want. Because I mean, when it comes to rankings, you have first it's wins in the group stage. Then after that, it's okay. So you're tied with someone. Well, did you beat them in the group stage? Like when you fought? If yes, then you're over them. If not, you're below them. And then it's kills. But it's very unlikely that kills are going to be a big deal. So I mean, what does Overwatch care about one more kill? Like, there's no reason. Like,
it's a lot of risk for them to go in against very little reward.
So Muse is feeling the pressure, and they're moving in. They see Overwatch backing up and buying time. Yeah, you see, look at this. Look at this in chat. Golden Glade saying time check. Like, they want to know. They need to know.
Yeah. As an update, while we see these teams both progress and crawl towards each other, or at least the Muse team crawl towards their opponents. An update as a preview to Art of Warfare versus the Mad Hatters. Looks like Art of Warfare as a preview might be bringing Metaminian and Cara Flamer Squid, and the Mad Hatters are preparing to bring a Lumberfish and a Flak Hades. This is on Battle on the Dunes, or going to be Battle on the Dunes.
Interesting.
I'm looking forward to seeing that match over on Imagine Stream. It's going to be a ton of fun. Resplendent taking a lot of fire. He has exposed himself to the Boopacorn. Boopacorn coming in. Resplendent bounces. This is going to be kill number 5. But
no, it's not.
Misses.
They slide by. This is the danger you run when you run a ship built for ramming. And now the Boopacorn is going to get focused by the cast iron cruiser. Little bit of hull damage going out, but not a ton. Resplendent dropping down hard. It's going to take a while for it to come back up. And so, Overwatch has decided to focus on the Mobula. Armor's down. Boopacorn coming in for the ram. Lot of hull damage. And there it is. Overwatch finish it out 5-2.
Great kills, great control too from Overwatch. One thing that we have traditionally seen from Overwatch is that they love to control a match. Now, we saw that kind of falter there towards the center of the season, but we saw that start to pick back up against Glowwater Thralls and now against Muse, where they got a a pretty decent win against team members that are well experienced in flight. So great win for Overwatch. Congratulations to them. They are going to get win number 2 for the season. They will go 2-5, and Muse will go 1-6. 1-6 for the regular season. Tough situation for them.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to put them very, very, very low on the silver bracket.
Who? Oh man! So
that's going to be that for the Hammer division.
Yeah, that's the Hammer division, guys.
That's it. Congrats. That's the last 8 weeks in the bag.
Good game. Happy birthday.
Okay.
Why are we starting?
Whoa, I'm out.
I didn't hit the leave button fast enough. Well then, it looks like I'm going to be playing a game here. I did not know that. No, I'm not. With that being said, we are going to go over all of these numbers here in just a few minutes. We still have Mad Hatters and Art of Warfare that are about to play over on Imagine Stream. So go over to robanddan.tv/live or over to twitch.tv/imagine42, and you can see that last game of the Anvil division, Mad Hatters versus the Art of Warfare. Art of Warfare still has yet to get a win this season. They don't want to go in winless to the silver bracket. Mad Hatters, on the other hand, really starting to pick things up lately. They are 3-3, and I'm sure they want to go into the postseason with a positive record and get that 4-3 mark for the regular season. Oracle, I will talk to you as soon as we get to the post-day show here in a few minutes.
Yep, not too long. We'll be here right after Art of Warfare versus Mad Hatters over here on twitch.tv/The Rob and Dan Show, or again, robanddan.tv/live. We'll see you guys soon. Be sure to pop back over.
You're watching the Hephaestus Challenge right here on robanddan.tv/live.